there. Thought I'd make a plate and show you guys how I do it. Got about 4 pounds of clay. It's nice and soft. I don't want to kill my wrists when I'm doing this, so nice soft clay is good. And because we're really going to be pushing it around a lot, so get that down on there. Center this up real quick. I use Laguna Bee Mix, and generally when we get it just ordered as is, it's a little bit too stiff, at least for me, for making plates. So this is actually Reclaim, and it's a little bit softer than what you get right out of the bag. You can order it soft, you can order it with extra water in it, but then of course you're paying for more water. But if you're really young and strong, you might just be able to use the stuff out of the box. It's going to make it a lot easier on your wrists. So you see I'm really putting a lot of pressure on this to get this low and flat. So I'm using the heel of my hand here and the side of my other hand to catch as this gets wider. And I'm just pushing. I've also got the little tips of these fingers under here to kind of catch that edge on the bottom so it doesn't roll over and trap slip or water under there. Alright. The wheels sounded a bit funky. It's probably because it's so cold. It's about 18 degrees here in Michigan today, which is warmer than it has been lately, but we're supposed to get like 9 inches of snow tonight, so if it's not one thing, it's another. Alright, so that looks pretty good. It's a little bit wobbly, but that's alright. Now I want this to be a 12-inch diameter. Luckily my bat that I've got on here is just about 12 inches wide, so that gives me a good guide to shoot for. Got a bit of a lip here, and I'm also gonna, you're not gonna be able to see it because it's on the other side, but I'm gonna dig under with my fingers and kind of scoop up that edge a little bit. And it doesn't take much. You know, it's a plate, you don't want it to be a big old bowl, so. Alright. Yeah, this is a lot of clay. I used to try and make these plates with like 2.5 pounds, and they were always so thin that you couldn't trim a foot on the bottom. That's the trouble with making plates. They're really easy to throw if you got nice soft clay. But trimming them takes probably 3 times as long because you got to trim so much away. If you want a nice deep foot on the bottom, so you can like you can put glaze on the inside of the foot, and you don't want that to sag down in the firing and hit the kiln shelf, you got to put a pretty deep foot on there, I think, unless you're doing, you know, kind of mid-range or low fire. So I mean, I'd say probably at least half of the weight of this clay is gonna be trimmed away when I'm doing the foot. Okay, so I think that's probably good. I should have my mirror or my camera on the other side. You guys can't see what I'm doing. That's okay. Probably only like 10 people are gonna watch this, so. Okay, so now I'm just gonna start gently folding this over. I'm not pinching when I'm folding this over. Pinching right here is gonna make that rim thinner right on the corner. You don't want to do that, so I'm just kind of guiding it slowly. Just barely bending it, and then I'm gonna make the rim just a bit thinner than where it is right here, just so as it's drying, as it's firing, you don't end up with a thin spot right here, because that's going to be taking a lot of weight from the rim that's going out kind of flat. So I gotta fairly soft Mud Tools rib. It's not the softest one, but just gonna get that eating surface nice and flat as I can. This is also compressing the clay. Getting some of that slip off of there. I'm gonna come in supporting that rim on the bottom. I'm not pinching that, I'm not making that rim any thinner, but I am just pressing down with that rib. And then I'm gonna come in with that curve there and make the curve on the inside of my plate, on the inside of my eating surface. Okay. Looks okay. I'm gonna check my measurement. 12 inches. Oh, she's a little short. What are we gonna do about that? If I'm being lazy, I just make extra plates, and then the ones that are a little bit small, you know, luckily I've made a couple extra, and maybe one's a little big, one's a little small. Making extras, you end up getting enough to fulfill your order or your set or whatever you're doing. Okay, so it's a little bit too short. So I'm gonna push this eating surface out a little bit wider. I'm not going to pinch this down, I'm not going to thin that out, but I am going to thin out a little bit towards the edge of the rim. And then I'm going to compress that rim too right here. I'm using three fingers to kind of square off that rim. And I'm pressing down with my pointer finger to compress all of that clay down on the edge there. I'm going to go over it with a chamois in a minute, so, okay, let's see. Is it any better? No. I'm gonna blame this on making a video, so it's you guys' fault that I'm screwing this plate up. I'm not concentrating. Alright, I gotta shut up for a second. And there we go. That's a little closer. It's a little bit short still, but close enough for handmade dinnerware. That's another thing. If you're making this set for your customers, make sure they know that it's not going to be picture perfect Cornell size, you know, Cornell ware, all exactly the same. If that's what they're interested in, then that maybe they don't need to be using handmade pottery. Oh, that sounded mean. Yeah, you just gotta let people know what to expect, I guess. You know, if there's an 1/8 of an inch difference between one plate and the next, if people are alright with that, then that's perfect. And if not, then you gotta let them know that this might not be the thing for them. Alright, now we're gonna smooth that edge off a little bit. Oh, look at all that sloppy clay. And this is compressing it also, making it nice and round. I've got, when I put this on there, I kind of make a little loop so the clay is getting caught in that little loop, and it really smooths it. This is just chamois, like automotive chamois from the store. Yeah, so there's that little loop I make. Okay, that looks good. Cutting off the bottom of the plate, if you've ever done that with a wire and you cut up with a wire, you cut off half of all that clay you left on purpose. I get a wire tool and get right down flush to the bat or the wheel head, whatever you're throwing on. a little guideline there for your wire to fit in. And hopefully you guys can see. Come down here. And I don't go in all the way. I'll maybe go in like 1/2 inch. Let things go around. I'm holding this really tight too. And once I can get my fingers to that bat, I'm holding that wire down as much as I can, so. And I go slow to go across. And that's that. So, I'm gonna get this off of the wheel now. Carefully, not flexing that too much, because remember, this is super soft clay. And there she is. I mean, it didn't really take too long. It took a lot longer than the other ones I've thrown today because I've been yakking this whole time, but yeah, there's some plates. I should make some.